So we are at part 4 of the squat project A2G, and today we're going to be talking about the nervous system. And this is an area of the body that actually, as exercise professionals, we have this kind of anxiety or fear about working with, and yet you're working with it every time you ask a client or yourself to move. So, I don't know if you knew, but nerves are kind of viscoelastic. So, have you ever bought a pack of 4 tins of beer? I'm sure some of you have, and you get that kind of plastic ring that holds everything together. If you've ever played around with one of those, you may well have noticed that if you pull it slowly, it kind of stretches and gives. Whereas if you yank on it, it can actually jar or break. Nerves are a little bit like that. If you imagine in the way they work, they hate to be stretched and they hate high speed if they're tethered down in any way. If they have full range, if the body is working well, they can work well with speed and stretching. But it's when they're limited somewhere within their chain that actually they can start to grumble. Now, the nervous system is actually a continuum. It's one structure throughout the body. However, we give different names to different parts of the nervous system just to understand where it is in the body. But if you chopped your head off and pulled on that nervous system, then everything would pull up as a unit. So it's all one and connected, which is why it can challenge us in terms of how it affects the way we feel and move. The nerves really are the software of the body, and they are what dictate as and when your muscles contract, your body releases hormones, and so on and so forth. So we really need to understand how they influence and affect our ability to move and squat. So if you're concerned about working with nerves on yourself or your clients, please understand that every time you bend over to tie up your shoes, you're stretching your nervous system. If you're doing an overhead squat, that's a massive stretch through the nervous system. So let's understand how the nervous system affects our ability to squat and move. So once again, just a reminder that if you have any clinical conditions, medical conditions, sciatica, carpal tunnel, any of these neural reactions to tethered nerves, please go and see your clinician. Do not use these techniques until you have been cleared. However, if working with a healthy body, your own body, you feel fit and well, maybe just a few grumbles, these techniques I'm going to teach you could be extremely impactful. So what we're going to look at first is, what exactly is a tethered nerve? Well, first of all, let's say what a tethered nerve is not. It's not impingement, it's not trapped, it's not your clinical words that we might have like sciatica and carpal tunnel that I mentioned earlier. It's just a nerve that is maybe inhibited by muscle spasm or muscle states that limit its movement. So if you remember what we've done in part 2 and 3, we've looked at ways to help the body move better, to use anti-spasms on muscles that may be subclinically in spasm. If you have a muscle that is influencing a nerve through its muscle spasm, then we need to understand the muscle anti-spasm first. So go back to part 2 and obviously part 3 prior to trying these techniques. What we do want to do is really release the muscle or affect the muscle in terms of getting rid of any dysfunction, inhibition or muscle spasm prior to working on mobilizing the nerves. So what we're going to be doing here is working with testing whether the nerve has tension and then looking at how we can mobilize it. But again, let me remind you, please use the anti-spasm prior to using this technique. It makes it much safer. However, if you're working on a healthy body, you can see how simple and easy these techniques are. So first of all, let's look at how we can test our sciatic nerve for tension throughout the body. So the nervous system starts at the top of the head, in your central nervous system, your spinal cord, and then comes down and out through your limbs, through the peripheral nervous system. So what we're going to do is very slowly put some tension on the nervous system to find out whether we have maybe a sensation as a result of that. So I want you to watch first of all. So if you imagine sitting with your legs able to hang freely and your thighs supported, and then just rest the hands relaxed behind your back. From here, We start in an upright position, allow the chin to drop, slump the body, and then round yourself forwards. We stop at the point where we feel like we're going to tumble over, and then from there, slowly start to extend the knee, keeping the foot flexed to 90 at the ankle, and then as and when you feel tension, if you do, that would indicate that you could have nerve tension. So you might feel this in the hamstring, in the calf, maybe in the glutes, or in the upper back. So from here, chin up, chin down, slump, round forwards, and extend the leg. So if when you go into this position, you find you feel some tension somewhere in the body, we're just acknowledging that at this moment. So it's not confirmed to be nerve tension just yet. It could be tension through the muscles or other structures, but just try it out and see where you feel it first. So now what we want to do is try to differentiate whether that tension is on the nervous system or whether it could just be tension through the muscular system. So if when you did your slump forwards, you felt it in your hamstring, you stay in that position and then you're going to lift your head only. If the sensation in the back of your leg changes, that's confirmed it must be nerve tension, because we haven't changed the length in the muscles or the other soft tissues, but what we've done by lifting the head is shorten the range through the nervous system, through the neck. Now, if you felt tension from the upper body when you were in this position, what you can do is actually flex the knee back down, and if the tension in the upper body changes, once again, we can confirm it must be neural tension because we haven't changed the tissues or the structures within the upper body. So if we flex the knee and the sensation changes, that would confirm nerve tension. So technically what we're doing is we're putting tension on the nervous system. Whichever end of the body you feel the tension, you keep that area still, you keep the whole body still, and you move the other end to confirm whether it's neural tension or something else. Okay, so I know you're wondering, well, what do we do? So what? Best question ever. So what we want to do is mobilise the nervous system. However, a reminder yet again to go back to part 2 and do your anti-spasms prior to this technique. Check out part 2 for that, please. And also part 3 for mobilising the spine. So once you've done those exercises, we can come to this point, and if you felt tension when you did your slumping forwards, the area of the body you felt it, let's say we felt it in the hamstring or the calf, what you can do to mobilise the nervous system is simply lift and lower the head. Really slowly, nice and controlled. And what you're looking for is to go and find the tension, come back off it. We're not going into a stretch. We're just finding the edge of the tension and then coming back off it. 2 sets of 8 reps, no more. So with the nervous system, we really don't want to overdo it with the nerves. If you felt it in the upper portion of the body, then you would mobilise by just moving the knee joint, or you could also use your ankle. And exactly the same again, what we're looking to do is just add and release the tension. Now you may feel tension, tingling or tightness. The nervous system can give all different types of sensations. Question is, so what when it comes to squatting? In relation to your squat, when you squat down, you will be stretching the nervous system. And if it is tethered somewhere, maybe in those hip muscles that we've done the anti-spasm on, then actually what this technique can do is just gently ask the nerves to reposition, or whatever you like, to just move around a little bit to get used to this new freely moving position. If you have limitations in your nervous system, you can lose power, strength, and muscular capacity. Particularly if we think about the type of squats that use fuller ranges like A2G or A2G, where we're taking up more range around the hip. Okay, we're reducing range at the knee, of course, but depending on where you may find tethering, it could impact particularly on this type of squat. So the nervous system also runs down the arms, and if you're going to be using a bar, overhead, front bar, back bar, in any position, then obviously this nervous system, this part of the nervous system could actually impact on how well you squat as well. So within the upper body, what we have is a brachial plexus in the neck, and then a series of nerves that run into the shoulder, and in particular, the one we call the median nerve, which runs down the front of the arm and through your thumb and your first two fingers, a little bit down your ring finger, but mainly those three, so it's almost like the M to help you remember median nerve. What we need to do is exactly the same, just to find out whether it's got some tension and whether we can reduce that to improve our squatting technique. So the median nerve is a common one for people who sit at a desk quite a lot. They're very stiff through the upper body, through the pec minor muscle here, which we're going to be talking about in part 5. And actually the nervous system really doesn't like this movement, which is using the mouse and using a keyboard. So it can react, and the median nerve under tension over time is a common dysfunction that can end up resulting in carpal tunnel syndrome and other RSI issues around the elbow, arm, shoulder, wrists, hands. So remember, all of these techniques are about reducing risk as well as optimizing performance of our squats. So let's look at the median nerve, understanding its pathway through the body. We're going to do exactly the same as we did with the sciatic nerve. So standing upright, shoulders down and relaxed. We do one arm at a time, arms down by the side. What I need you to do is keep the arm in close, straighten out the elbow, and then you're going to take the fingers backwards so your hand is in kind of a flat palm position, palm down. From here, ask yourself, do you feel any tension, tingling, or tightness? If you do, what we can do is literally lift the shoulder, which will shorten the top end of your nervous system. And again, if you have a sensation down the arm and it changes just by lifting and lowering the shoulder, then there's a good chance you've got some neural tension. If, however, you feel the tension in the shoulder or this area, what you can do is just literally flex and extend the wrist, and if the sensation here changes, again, that can confirm you have neural tension. If any of these tests don't show a change when you move the other part of the body, then there's a chance what you need is what we did in part 2 and part 3. So go back and revisit those blogs and videos. So let's reduce these issues and look to improve our squat technique. And again, you can see how just trying to improve your squat technique can spill over into other body areas of movement and other body parts. So as we start to address each body part, each different structure within the body to improve our squat, that can help us improve general movement, low-grade aches and niggles that are not clinical conditions, and it can reduce the burden on the NHS. So come on, get others involved, try this out, try it out on yourselves, try it out on your clients, and please do let me know how you get on with it. So the nervous system is a very complex part of the body, and as I've said and as we've seen here and as you may well experience, you can move one part of the body, feel a change in another part of the body, and this is just how the nervous system works as a continuum throughout the system. This is where only treating or working on the site of pain or sensation is a problem. Very often it is a problem. More often than not, we need to address other parts of the body to reduce issues in the areas that are uncomfortable and sore. It's also a lower risk. If we're moving the parts of the body that are healthy, not uncomfortable, and taking pressure off the areas that are uncomfortable, this has got to be a safer way of addressing our movement issues, right? Also, don't forget, I'm getting some amazing caveman squat pictures. Keep sending them in, keep photographing your benchmark. Each time you add in, each week as we add in the new techniques and you get your homework, yes, it will increase for a while, but over time, it should be able to reduce down and become just a warm-up, maybe once a day, when you start to move better. So just some bullet point tips at the end of this nerve section. Number 1, please do not do these techniques for sciatica, median nerve, or any other clinical condition. You must see your practitioner, therapist, biomechanics coach, GP, prior to taking these on if you have any of those conditions. If you are fit, healthy, you just want to move better, or you have undiagnosed low-grade issues that are kind of accepted as normal these days, and they're common, they're not normal, then these techniques could be helpful to you. However, what we must do and be mindful of is to address parts 2 and 3 of this squat project to get the muscles at full capacity back first, and obviously the spine and the joints around the spine moving better prior to doing the nerve techniques. Also in practice, when you're doing your daily routine of these techniques, performance is antispasms first, joint mobilization second, and then your nerve mobilizations. The other thing with the nervous system is you can over-condition them. They can become preconditioned, and what we want to do is avoid overstimulating them, otherwise they can grumble. So if you get residual tingling in the fingers, you may have gone too far into the stretch, or you've done too many reps or sets. So less is more in the beginning when it comes to the nervous system. Keep your reps down to 8 reps, 2 sets maximum daily for a week, let's say, making sure you don't have any residual effects of those. And again, after doing your muscle release and your joint mobilizations. And these should contribute to healthy movement profiles, improving your squat techniques. And if you're not there yet, don't worry, there is loads more to come next time. So we're going to be covering the shoulders. Yes, they can impact on your squatting technique for all sorts of reasons, and that's what we're going to be talking about next time. So keep watching, keep listening, keep sending in your photos, by the way. Those caveman photos are fantastic. We're going to do a little collage later on of the before and after, so please keep sending them in, and of course your questions. So we're going to be doing some more questions next time.